Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff video. SuperCoach Nuff channel even. This video, that's what I was trying to get at. What we're going to do is talk a bit of NRL SuperCoach draft. And I guess just to use as a bit of a case study, I've actually got a draft that I'm going to do tonight. So not a mock draft where, the computer just picks it's whatever the highest average was, but I guess playing against other human beings. So it's a six-man league, as you can probably see at the top there. Got just a bunch of mates from work and a couple of other associates, I suppose, in the mix. So I guess the dynamic of the league. There's obviously everyone supports a different team, so everyone has different favourite players, that sort of thing. So it does add that bit of a surprise element to it. But I thought what I'd do is just sort of talk about my pre-draft order that I've set up here. And so I guess really with my first two picks, what I'm looking at doing is trying to set a solid captain and vice captain option for every sort of game week. But also considering the position. So I guess I'm sort of taking a bit of an approach from the NFL style draft where you look at not only like the scoring of each position but also the depth. And I guess the example of that is um, realistically, if we look at fullbacks in NRL draft is very similar to quarterbacks. They obviously score very well, but there's also a number of them that score very well. So you don't have to rush in with your first pick and get Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen, the NFL players for those that aren't following. You don't have to rush in and get a fullback because realistically, in a competition that only has six players in it, there's more than six gun options at fullback, so we don't have to rush in and grab a fullback. Um, so you want to try to take advantage of those other positions. So, like I said, fullback's a bit like quarterback, I suppose. I see the center wing position as a lot like a wide receiver position where there's a range of options and they can be quite variable in their scoring. Obviously, you have your Justin Jeffersons and your AJ Browns that are quite consistent as scorers, but and you have that as well in the center wing. Um, but they can be a bit more volatile. Um, so then I guess if we're looking at running backs as a position, it's probably um, like halfback could be the closest, not in terms of play style, obviously, but in terms of you've got those premium options that you want to get on early. And then you have the running back dead zone, or I guess the equivalent would be the halfback sort of dead zone. So, you know, you want to get either a start early, like your Christian McCaffreys. I was going to say Derrick Henry, but that's probably a bit outdated reference nowadays. But those, high level guys who want to try and snap up early. And then I guess positions like hooker, probably prop forward, are a bit like the tight end position where you've got Travis Kelsey and the rest. So I think for hooker it's Harry Grant. For the front row, technically probably Tino and Payne Haas. I'd have as the clear top two. Um, but then after that, there's a substantial drop off um, to the following positions. So I think my strategy going in is if I get one of the first three picks, so the full list isn't there yet, so I'm not sure what the draft order is. Um, I'm not sure we're going to find out until right at the time, but that's totally cool. Um, because this sort of template is the strategy, I think. So obviously, if I get pick number one, Nathan Cleary, welcome to the team. Best option. If I don't get Cleary, obviously I want Hines, so number two pick will be Hines. Um, and number three, I think Ponga, just because of his upside, you have to have in the mix. So you can see they're the top three on average for all the mock drafting that's been going on. And I think rightly so. If you get one of those top three picks, you lock in your captain, and you just sort of cheer while everyone else is scrambling. But then after that, you can see I've started to deviate from the pack. So I've put Tino above Harry Grant, but I might even just swap that around. Um, just because I think the gap between Harry Grant and number two is bigger than Tino and number two Payne Haas in the front row, or obviously Dave Fifita in the second row. But I think the dual position does give him a nice little boost as well. Particularly in draft, you can flick between positions. Obviously, something that you can't particularly do in um, NFL fantasy. So Harry Grant at four, I think, is good just because of that positional advantage. So if I'm one of the later picks, I'm targeting that positional advantage, locking in a gun hooker, a gun front rower. And then I've got Sean Johnson at six. So obviously, if I miss out on Cleary and Hines, I think people will go Ponga and start to fill up their fullbacks. Is my gut feeling. I don't know if my mates put that much thought into the draft. One or two of them might, but a couple, it would be surprising if they did. And if they watch this video, you know who you are. So I think I might take SJ off the board if I'm that last sort of pick. Obviously at position six, you get the 6 and 7 swing. So, you get two picks back to back. So obviously that could be an advantage. And then I guess, I've got Latrell and Tommy here, but it might be a case of, say, those first five go, which is unlikely. It might be Payne Haas that's next. And then obviously I've got to wait about 12 picks. So um, actually, what I should do is I'm just going to open up the draft nuffs. And so this is our draft setup, which is finally full. So thanks to the 10th player who joined us. I'm just going to import that list so I've got it here because I'm not sure what happens when I change it to average draft position. I don't want to stuff up all the work I did. It doesn't let me do it. Oh, ranked by ADP. Oh, okay, cool. Good to know. All right, better to be safe than sorry. But any chance of it working wouldn't appear to be. I don't know what's happening here. ADP rank, please. No, no good. Maybe what we'll do is we'll go back to the draft nuffs and I'll just reset. Might be there. Because I think that'll be closer. And even then, not quite. There we go, that works. So yeah, so you can see on average what people are doing is they're taking, Wells drink water, so turbo, so they're taking a fullback for that upside. It makes sense. But again, outside of these four, we've still got Pappenhausen, Tedesco, Latrell. I would happily have any of those three in my draft team as my number one fullback. Um, at a pinch, you could still go with a Dylan Edwards, Dream Buller, perhaps Will Kennedy is okay. Um, there's definitely plenty of options at fullback. So obviously having all the gun players is nice, but I guess we've got to be tactical about it. So yes, that's sort of my thinking. Is I'm gonna if I don't get Ponga at pick three, I'm gonna go somewhere else. And that's probably, trying to pick up a Grant, a Tino, Sean Johnson, perhaps. And then, I guess if I'm sort of in the mid second round or mid sort of round for round two, I might look at just locking in a Latrell or Turbo. I've got Latrell above just for goal kicking, is sort of the tiebreaker there. But again, any fullback is nice. Haas and Fafita, Hopgood. So I guess these guys are all the nice vice captain options, or solid banker type options. Hopgood, Yo, Murray, Dylan Brown. I guess again positional advantage. So averaging pick 8. So I think a lot of people are like grabbing the best 5/8, which makes sense. But I guess I have a sleeper option there for 5/8 that I'm happy to sort of run with. After that, I sort of had Marshall King. If I still need a hooker, I'd rather get Marshall King probably a bit early. He averages pick 33. But again, I'm thinking a couple of the boys might want to try and lock up the spines pretty quick. So I think, he's probably the second best option. But again, probably one I'm happy to let slide. So he might actually fall down my rankings list. But then I guess the top tier centre wings. So what's this about? Round 3, round 4. Um, yeah, so the end of round 3 basically. If I'm in that position, might look at loading up on a centre wing. But based on average, you could still be Hopgoods there, Yo's there. So again, that'll give me that positional advantage in that position. Um, so yeah. So basically, I guess the moral of the story is happy to let fullbacks slide, and trying to grab the highest sort of level players in those other positions. Um, and then yeah, I think as we go through, I think I only did about 50. So sort of by the time we get down here, I had Dylan Lucas, but he's not going to be a part of it. So Jaden Campbell, he's probably the one I'm going to target at 5/8. And I might be giving away some secrets for the other league that we're going to do in a couple of weeks. That's perfectly okay. I think because he's not playing for a couple of weeks, a lot of people are going to let him slide. But I'm going to try and pick him up at the end. So we'll see how we go tonight. And if it works out, I might not be able to get him in the other draft, but that's okay. So yeah, after that, you just once we get past the first sort of 10 rounds, or not even that, what's 50, like 8 rounds, assuming we've got to pick 17. I think the rules originally said it was just 12. I don't know if he's going to change that or not. I'm hoping he does, because that would be silly, just having one of each. But yeah, once you sort of get past the first few rounds, you can't really just start grabbing the first or best available, or if you need a certain position, obviously best available in that position, because a lot of them, float around the same sort of price point. So, um, yeah, so like I've got Gutherson heaps down here. I forgot about him before. Not that I think he's, top fullback, but he's consistent. And I think particularly in our league, no one will sort of grab him. So he could be a good chance of sliding. And well, actually, I think there'll be one or two boys that might be onto him and grab him a bit later. Um, but yeah, if he's on late, we'll just park him on the bench. He'll be good as a backup fullback. Same thing with Dylan Edwards, CNK even, especially being injured. We can obviously try to pick him up off the waiver wire, but you could also just bench him and have him sitting there. So yeah, that's the strategy. So we might just wrap up this portion of the video, and then with the joy of technology, everything will change, and we'll have some results of my team and a bit of a rundown of how the draft went. All right, and here we are after about 24 hours of the draft. Just been a busy day, and here is the team we ended up with. So we ended up just going with one player per position. The commissioner, who was actually my head-to-head opponent this week, decided in his infinite wisdom that he preferred this method. So sort of changed the plan a little bit. I was predicting a bit more of a full 13-man team. But I guess, a couple of big hitters here. I got Nathan Cleary, Payne Haas in the first two rounds. I was pretty stoked with that. Dave Fafita in the third round, which was nice as well. Obviously, he's not eligible, but basically to have the probably the best halfback, could be the best front rower, definitely top two, and the best second rower. Really set the team up well. I managed to jag Pappenhausen a bit later, um, but in saying that, after those first three picks, everything sort of went a bit sideways, and um, I guess I hadn't really planned for the later rounds, so that kind of made sense. But if we have a review of the draft recap, all teams, and go to round one. So I had pick number three. So I was predicting I was going to get Harry Grant in the first round. But then lo and behold, my mate Adam, who's a mad Para fan, he up and went for Dylan Brown with pick two, which is pretty ballsy. But he is a massive Dylan Brown fan, so it kind of made sense. So Nathan Cleary just fell in my lap. Pick three, I thought, here we go, how good. And then the other guys picked fullbacks, and I was sort of keen to wait on fullback because there's so many great options. So I sort of knew I was a good chance of getting another, number one player in a position. I was really hopeful of it being Harry Grant, but he didn't quite get back to me. Um, Mick got him, and then I had Tino obviously for the dual position, but he went the pick before, so it was a pretty obvious pick for I thought at that point to grab Payne Haas. I know a couple of guys did have issues with being able to select players too. They obviously hadn't mock drafted and stuff, so that's their fault. You might have noticed the commissioner grabbed two fullbacks in the first two rounds. I don't think that was on purpose. Round three, so Jermaine Hopgood went before Fafita, I'm guessing, because he was injured. Sean Johnson went, which was fine because we already had Cleary. So I thought it was pretty much a no-brainer to grab Fafita while he was still available. He may have slid further down. I'm not 100% sure, but probably not to mid round four. So I was happy with that. And then I guess, Cherry Evans, Gutherson, Munster going off the board was fine. And then this is probably where I started to make mistakes because I guess Cody Walker went. So realistically, the top three, 5/8 were out. Um, but what I should have tried to do was probably get, another hooker. I didn't necessarily want Cook. I would have been happy with Coruscant or Marshall King. So I think that's why I was waiting a bit. But I thought, you know what, I'll jump in and get a replacement for Dave Feeder. And I'm a big fan of Nikora. So I got him in. Um, Again, probably not the smartest move given that we only had to pick one second rower. And, there's more than six gun second rowers. I didn't have to go that early on it. But I guess, you learn that after having a go. I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't think it would stay as one player per line, but that's the way it went. So round five, I thought I'd better lock in a hooker. Obviously got Marshall King, which, happy with. I think after Grant, he's probably the next in line. I think Cook might just be getting a little bit old, but I'm happy for him to prove me wrong. But yeah, a few centre wings starting to go too, but I wasn't too concerned. I thought, there's plenty of high quality centre wingers, so no need to rush there. Um, I was going to grab Matt Burton this round, but Finn Diesel beat me to it. So I thought, it's time to grab Pappenhausen, I suppose. Everyone else had fullback, so I wasn't really sweating too much. But I thought, well, there is 5 spots on the bench. Someone might go for him soon. Um, yeah, so I guess I had him pick 34. He's ranked about 51, so maybe I overreached a bit. But, you lock in a gun fullback in round six, you're cheering, I think. Round seven. So, again, this is sort of where panic started to set in. And I thought, I need some cover for Cleary. And so I grabbed for Jerome Hughes. Um, Ruben Cotter was like the guy I probably should have grabbed. You have, front row and second row cover on the bench. Mitch Barnett going as well. So these boys are onto it, and I was not. And that's fine. What are we up to? Round eight. That's what I did there. So then Jermaine Osako is still on the board. Probably, in that sort of upper tier of centre wingers. So I just grabbed him. He's pretty handy to have in the team. having Appy Coruscant as a backup in round 8, I think is pretty good there from Finn Diesel as well. He drafted pretty well actually, the young fella. Round 9, I needed a 5/8, and what happened here? That, that's not right because Mick went before me. That's why he got Jaden Campbell. How's that worked out? I think what happened was I wanted a playing 5/8, and I was going to grab Campbell and put him on the stash him on the bench. But yeah, that's right. I bought Mam as a playing because Matt Burton was gone, and I thought I'll have Mam, and then I'm going to get Campbell on that bench to cover 5/8 and fullback. And unfortunately, Mick was too smart and got onto it before I did. Um, I think I talked him up at the Super Bowl when we were talking SuperCoach there, so he might have knew something was up. And so then round 10, it was like just starting to grab replacements. And Targo was on the board. I thought he's pretty handy centre winger. I'll grab him. Round 11 came. So I grabbed Nickel Clockstad was as a backup fullback. I thought, he's injured, but hopefully he's back in round 4. Otherwise, that makes a bit of an interesting conversation. And in round 12, I just grabbed Reed Money as a backup hooker. Again, just trying to grab whatever was available. And so that left me with the team the way it is. I don't know if you want to have a look at the other teams. I might just quickly slowly scroll through. You can stop the video and have a look if you really want. But I guess because the teams are so thin, it's all pretty evenly matched. It's just going to be a bit of pot luck. There's no captains either, so there's no real tactics to it other than picking one player over the other on your field. But yeah, obviously, there's no front row cover, but it's not an immediate issue given Payne Haas has a few weeks. And no 5/8 cover. So, as Mam, same sort of boat. So, there's no need to panic. But in saying that, I have put in a little waiver claim with the news that Brayley's going to miss the start of the year. So, that sort of guarantees crossing big minutes. And he covers 5/8 and hooker. So, I'll get him in and might be able to use him as a little bit of trade bait, perhaps. I was also tossing up maybe binning one of Tango or Hughes and bringing in Drew Hutchinson because he covers both positions. Because I guess most weeks I'll probably play Cleary. I may want to change these guys around, so maybe Hughes that I do that for, and then when I need to bring in a front row cover for Haas, I can do that there. Might also try a couple of trade offers just to see what sticks, but don't like my chances. So I think a few of the guys that were on auto draft and that they might do a few waivers and stuff. So someone might get let go that I want as well. So it's all pretty fluid at this point, but that's how the draft went. It was a pretty interesting experience. And I guess in reality, it doesn't really teach me too much for our draft, which is coming up in about 10 days' time. So I'll just quickly switch over to that because I have gone through, um, got the 10th entry. So we did the random draw. It was on my video for all the Vegas teams and last minute stuff. So there's the list there again. I did do the randomized order a few times and I said I was going to do 3 times. Clicked it 3 times. I ended up at spot number 1. I thought that's a bit stiff. Everyone's going to think that's a G up. So I went again and I still landed number 2. So I was like, all right, well, can't do any more than that. I said what I was going to do and I did it. And that's what it is. So, yeah. So I guess, yeah, I probably won't talk too much draft until the draft night. I'm going to have a go at live streaming. So that could be absolutely anything. And yeah, just wanted to sort of finish up this. So there's a draft, like I said, a little bit different. And I guess when you're drafting with actual humans, it is different to the mock drafts. So yeah, it's good fun. Get on if you're thinking about having a go, get a few mates together. Even if you just do one like that, it took us half an hour. Um, we were talking about getting together and having a few beers before
the Vegas games and doing this, but it turned out to be, oh, let's just do it on Thursday night because everyone's busy and life gets in the way, and that's fair enough too. All right, but yeah, if you've got any thoughts or comments, feel free to give the video a like. Obviously, um, give us. I think I've just stuffed that up. Comment, like, subscribe. You know the deal. It's late. I'm out. I'll catch you in the next one.